Sorry about that, guys. Someone came in my room. This is part 2, guys. I'll talk for 16 minutes and I'll end the video here, guys. My stepbrother wanted to work on the book now, but I told him I couldn't do it because I'm making a video, obviously. And I want to go to the store and get my beer and my smokes. Hence why I decided to just work on a book. I have all the time in the world to work on my book, right? There's no rush. I don't want to rush it, obviously, but yeah, I'm almost halfway through going on my book. So VJ is obviously Jennifer Joy. Oh my god, I even just finished your book. Yeah, I'm working on it, man. I'm trying my best. Almost halfway through the book. And I'll be done probably around the end of the year, around there, perhaps. And then I have to go over it again for typos. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. Yeah, even Peter Jackson himself might even like Lord of the Rings better than Zanus, too. You never know, man. You might be like, yeah, Ivan, even though your Zanus movie was amazing, I kind of like my series better. You know what I'm saying? He might like his series better, obviously. I'm gonna be honest, man. There's some fans out there who might like even Lord of the Rings. All you Hollywood actors out there, the book is better than the Lord of the Rings book. My Zanus book is better than the Lord of the Rings book because Lord of the Rings is a bit boring, obviously. But for the movie, it'll be close, man. Because Lord of the Rings, the movie was a masterpiece. The movies are better than the books, in my opinion. The movies are a masterpiece, the Lord of the Rings movies. And it's tough to beat that. As I told you, Lord of the Rings is the best movie children ever made. It's tough to beat that series. But I believe Zanus will beat out Lord of the Rings, obviously. It'll be close, but Zanus will beat it out, obviously. But it'll be very, very close. And there's a lot of fans in the world who might even like Lord of the Rings better. Yeah, I like Lord of the Rings better than Zanus. Don't hate me, Ivan, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, some people might tell me, Ivan, I like Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings better than your Zanus movie. But I can't see Lord of the Rings being Zanus. I can't see that happening because Zanus is a fucking like masterpiece of a story. It's the best story ever told, man. It's trust me, when you read my book, you'll see what I mean. The best Tactius, the Prince of the North. The North is holy like Rivendell, and Eretas, the Devil Wolf King. There's never been a movie made where you have like a walking devil as a king, man. Like yeah, in Lord of the Rings you have kings. You have what? In Lord of the Rings, in The Hobbit, you have the Goblin King. Remember the Goblin King? In the first movie, you have the Goblin King, obviously. You know what I'm saying? You have the Goblin King in The Hobbit, obviously. But there's never been a movie where you have like a walking devil as the Wolf King. Eretat is a walking devil himself. He's a king of the South. And the South is cursed, and the South is like the animal kingdom. And Eretat is the king of the South. There's never been a movie made like that before. You see what I'm saying? It's a unique story. It's very unique. That's why I can't see. Some fans might even like Lord of the Rings better than Zanus. I'm going to make a prediction. There's some fans who might like Lord of the Rings better than Zanus. Obviously, but most fans are going to like Zanus better than Lord of the Rings. Because I'm acting in the movie, guys. Ivan O'Mara is acting as Prince Tactius. I am acting as Prince Tactius. You see what I'm saying? I am acting as Prince Tactius in the movie. VJ is acting as Lithia. Hence why what? I think Zanus will beat out Lord of the Rings by a margin. I'm not going to say Zanus will blow Lord of the Rings out of the water. No, man. It's going to be close. As Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece. You see what I'm saying? It's a masterpiece of a movie. It is a masterpiece, guys. I watched Fellowship of the Ring yesterday and I was blown away. I'm like, holy shit, this movie's amazing. It's a fucking masterpiece. Yeah, man. Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece. You see what I'm saying? That's why it'll be tough. Lord of the Rings is a tough franchise to beat, but Zanus will beat out Lord of the Rings. It's a better story than Lord of the Rings. Trust me, when you read my book, you will see what I mean, man. You will see what I mean. Yeah, even though J.R.R. Tolkien, you know what I'm saying, wrote a masterpiece, Lord of the Rings, man, Ivan Zanus' story is better than his Lord of the Rings story. Yeah. It's a more powerful story, a deeper story. Destroying the One Ring is deep, obviously, but it's not as the ring corrupts people, obviously, but it's not as deep as Zanus, where you have a clash of two kings. You have Tactius, the Prince of the North, versus Eretat, the King of the South, and Fulful, the Prince of the South, and you have a deep plot. You have a deep past between the three species, the three lines of kings. Yeah, it's a fucking masterpiece of a story. I don't want to spoil a story for you. You'll find out what I mean when you read the book. You see what I'm saying here? End this video here in 11 minutes, 12 minutes here. I'll end the video here. Take my shower and I'll go to the store and I'll get a pack of smokes and some beer. Obviously, I'll get beer and a pack of smokes when I go to the store. And I'll download Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and I'll watch it, binge it tonight and watch it. binge the whole thing. I binged the whole Fellowship of the Ring. I'm gonna binge the whole Two Towers. Binge the whole thing, obviously. Look at something crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Peter Jackson will tell me, oh, Ivan, I enjoyed your book far more than I did Lord of the Rings. But he won't tell me, Peter Jackson won't tell me my movie will be better than his Lord of the Rings movie. No, because he has an ego. But I'm like, Peter, Zanus is your movie too. This is your movie. This is Peter. Zanus is your movie. I'm giving you. Zanus will be Peter Jackson's movie. That's why he'll work hard. Yeah, Peter. Zanus is your movie. It's your just like Lord of the Rings is your movie. Zanus is your movie. Hence, Peter Jackson, when he directs my movie, he's competing with his Lord of the Rings movie. It's actually funny. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Peter, you're going to be competing with your own Lord of the Rings movie too. But Lord of the Rings is your baby, Peter. Zanus is also your baby, too. Zanus, it's me and VJ's baby, obviously, but Zanus is also going to be Peter Jackson's baby. Peter, this is your movie. You're the boss of the movie, obviously. It's my movie, too. It's my story, but it's your movie, too. I'm giving you power. You're the boss of the movie. You're directing the movie. It's your movie. You see what I'm saying? That's why Peter Jackson, he won't tell me my Zanus will be better than Lord of the Rings because he has an ego. Yeah, I don't want Zanus to be competition with Lord of the Rings. Because Lord of the Rings is my baby too, see what I'm saying? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? He won't tell me. He'll tell me my book is better than Lord of the Rings, obviously, but he won't tell me my movie's better. Because Peter Jackson has an ego. He's a big director, you know what I'm saying? He might tell me, I don't know, he might tell me, Ivan, I'm not gonna lie, man. If you adapt this movie to the big screen, man, your movie might be better than my Lord of the Rings. I highly doubt he'll say that. But he'll be like, yeah, Ivan, if you adapt I read your book, man, your book is a masterpiece. If you adapt this to the big screen, you pour $9 million towards it, you hire the right Hollywood actors, you pay the crewmen a lot of money, you're looking at one of the best movie choices ever made, man. Something just as good as my Lord of the Rings. He might say something like that, maybe. He might say it'll be just as good as Lord of the Rings. He might say that. But he won't say it's better because Peter Jackson has an ego. He doesn't want to compete with his own Lord of the Rings franchise that he made like 30 years ago. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't want to compete with that. And that's why he won't say that. Because he has an ego. All these professional directors and actors, all these Hollywood actors think they're the best. You know what I'm saying? All these Hollywood actors think they're the best. All these directors think they're the best. They have egos, hence why he's not going to say my movie will be better than Lord of the Rings. Before I said that, he's not going to say that, Peter Jackson. I highly doubt it. Because he has an ego. But he'll be like, yeah, Ivan, your movie will be one of the best movies ever made. Probably just as good as my movie. He'll say that. You see what I'm saying? Whereas someone like Guillermo del Toro, he might tell me, oh, Ivan, I think your movie will be better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. He might tell me that, Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, Ivan, I read your book, man. I had a far more fun time reading your book than reading fucking J.R.R. Tolkien's Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Your book is fucking better than that book, man. I was far more entertained in your story. Whereas Lord of the Rings is a little boring in some sections. Remember when I read you the prologue? I Fellowship of the Ring. That was very, very boring. The prologue of Lord of the Rings is a drag to read. It's really boring. You can just skip it if you want to. It's very boring. The history of the hobbits and all that stuff. It's very, very boring. Fellowship of the Ring, in my opinion, is the worst of the book. Worst of the series for the books, obviously. It's the slowest of the 3 books. And I think Return of the King is the best for the books. Or you can argue Two Towers is better. I kind of enjoyed Two Towers more than Return of the King, though, for the books, though. Because I love the scene with Gollum. I love the scene with Faramir when he was tempted by the ring, obviously. And I love the ending scene. Ivan, what's your favorite part of the book? My favorite part of the book is the beginning of the book with Ugluk and Grishnak when Pip and them are captured. That's my favorite part of the book. And the end of the book when Sam rescues Frodo from the Cirith Ungol from the spider. That's my favorite part of the Two Towers book. But in my opinion, I like Return of the King better. Return of the King is the best of the books, and Fellowship of the Ring is the worst, and Two Towers is a close second. Whereas for the movies, Return of the King is the worst, Two Towers is the best, and Fellowship of the Ring is a close second. And Return of the King is a close third. As all 3 movies are very close to each other, but Return of the King is the worst of the 3 in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, Guillermo del Toro might even tell me, Ivan, I read your book, man. If you adapt this kind of story, the North, the South, you have a prehistoric, advanced, like, fantasy world. something better than even Avatar. You're looking at something even better than even Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, Ivan. He might tell me that, but Peter Jackson won't tell me that because he's competing. He doesn't want to make it a competition with Lord of the Rings. Okay, Peter, Lord Zayn's is your movie. Peter Jackson knows Zayn's is his movie too. Obviously, he doesn't want to make it a competition with his Lord of the Rings movie. That's why he won't tell me. He won't tell me that my Zayn's movie will be better than his Lord of the Rings movie because he has an ego. I'm telling you right now, Zayn's will be better than Lord of the Rings. You gotta see the future. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we see the future. Yeah, you see the future. You know what I'm talking about. Zayn's will beat out Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. They will beat it out, man. I wrote the book, and I'm telling you right now, if you adapt that kind of story imagine an advanced prehistoric fantasy world, better than something better than Pandora, 8K world, unheard of action sequences better than even what you got for Lord of the Rings and Matrix, things like that. Unheard of horror of the wolves, 3 times scarier than the Ring Race. You know what I'm saying? You have Ereteth, the king of the south. Takis is the prince of the north. You have Ephesus, the king bat of the mountains. You have the Southerns living in the south, in the animal kingdom. You know what I'm saying? You have the farmland Cyrus. You have Sapphires, the blind, the blacksmiths. I'm telling you right now, Zayn's will beat out Lord of the Rings. By a margin, they'll beat it out, man. They'll be better. And I'm acting in the movie as Tactius. You're going to see me kicking ass in the movie with my sword, man. Fighting with my sword. Yeah, man. Imagine seeing Ivan America fighting with his sword. Unheard of action sequences. Yeah, it'll be better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings by a bit. No, so it'll be close, man. It'll be very, very close. Because Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece. But the book will be better than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, guaranteed. I read Lord of the Rings. I read the 3 books. I compared it to my book. Yeah, Zayn's is better than Peter Jackson. Than what? Than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But the movies will be very close. Obviously. Even the books. Lord of the Rings is pretty close to Zayn's for the books too, but Zayn's is better than Lord of the Rings, man. As Lord of the Rings, even though it has rich world building, rich dialogue, the story is a little bit boring. It's a bit boring in some sections. And it's a drag to read. Whereas Zayn's is it's dry. Whereas Zayn's is very fresh. When you read it, you're hooked. You keep turning the page. You can't wait to read the next chapter. I keep you hooked enough to turn the page. Before you know it, you're done volume 1. You order your takeout. You read volume 2. Volume 2 is even better. When he meets Lithia and all of them, yeah, it's interesting, you know what I'm saying? The Captured chapter, the Tactics Colonius chapter, you know what I'm saying? The Land in Chaos chapter. Ivan, what do you mean Land in Chaos? I don't want to spoil story. It has to do with politics. You have chaos going on in Barak and Zanus. Why? What kind of chaos? I don't want to spoil the story for you. See what I mean when you read the book? And you end the chapter off with the Exodus of Sapphires. You know what I'm saying? Holy shit, volume 2 is sick, yeah. Then you read volume 3. Volume 3 is even better in my opinion. And you finish the book like, holy shit. Ivan has no author has kept me entertained or hooked the way Ivan has. No author has ever entertained me the way Ivan has entertained me for a book, man. For a fantasy novel, for a fantasy book. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And all you Lord of the Rings nerds and Lord of the Rings, you're all going to be like, yeah, even though Lord of the Rings is a fucking masterpiece and I love J.R.R. Tolkien's world that he created, man, his book is not as good as Ivan Zayn's book, man. Zayn's is a fucking masterpiece. I was far more entertained reading Ivan's book. I love the characters a lot more than the Lord of the Rings characters. With Lord of the Rings, the characters are dull, obviously. You see what I'm saying? And Ivan kept me a lot more hooked than J.R.R. Tolkien did. Yeah, Ivan takes the crown. Ivan is a king of fantasy. His Zayn's book takes the crown. It's better than all these fantasy books I've read, yes. Better than George R. Martin's Game of Thrones, Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight series, his Way of Kings book, obviously. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Erickson's Malzahn series. Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind sold like 11 million, 10 million copies, man. It sold a lot, tens of millions of copies. It made Patrick Rothfuss rich, obviously. Yeah, my book is better than all those authors' books. You know how I know my book is better than all those books? Because I finished Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings is known as being better than all those books. And I compare it to Zayn's, I'm like, yeah, Zayn's is better than Lord of the Rings. That's how I know my Zayn's book is better than all those other books. As Lord of the Rings is better than Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Name of the Wind, Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight series, you know what I'm saying? J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, Stephen Erickson's Malzahn series, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time. It's better than all those books. There's some people who think the other series are better, obviously, but that's very rare. Chances are, if you run into a fantasy nerd, he or she will tell you, yeah, Lord of the Rings is the best is the best fantasy novel out of all these books. Yes, J.R.R. Tolkien is known as being the king of fantasy. He's known as being the god of fantasy, obviously. But in the modern times, George R. R. Martin is pretty much the king of fantasy. He's the king of fantasy. Stephen King is the king of authors, obviously, in general, obviously, but in the fantasy genre, George R. R. Martin is the king. He's known as the American Tolkien. He is the king of fantasy, George R. R. Martin. And I believe Brandon Sanderson will catch up to him. But Brandon Sanderson is not as big as George R. R. Martin. George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones series is huge. And that's why he's the king of fantasy. There's a reason why Game of Thrones was very successful. The television series was very successful because George R. R. Martin wrote a masterpiece, obviously. But he didn't finish his series. You see what I'm saying? I heard he's finishing up the seventh book or something like that? The sixth or seventh book in the series. He's finishing it up, obviously, but George R. R. Martin did not finish his series. That's what a lot of fans don't like about George. Is that, yeah, George R. R. Martin, even though he's a king of fantasy, he didn't finish his Game of Thrones series. Whereas Ivan O'Meara finished his series. I finished my whole series. I wrote all 3 books. I am done my series, and I wrote a masterpiece. End it off here before I end this video and take my shower and get my beer and my smokes. All you Lord of the Rings fans who are crazy Lord of the Rings nerds on Lord of the Rings Reddit, you guys know who you are. Once you read my book, you're going to become crazier Last of Us Aliens fans. As Last of Us Aliens, The Last of Us Aliens is a better book than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Trust me, when you read it, you'll see what I mean, man. You're gonna read it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let's see how good Ivan's book is. You read the prologue, you're like, holy shit, this is sick. I love the world of the North and the South. This is fucking cool, man. This is unique. It's a unique story. You know what I'm saying? You keep reading, and before you know it, you're halfway through volume 1. You order your takeout, man. You're gonna order your takeout. You pay your $22. You buy the ebook. You know what I'm saying? You're halfway through volume 1. You're like, holy shit, this book is sick. You order your takeout. You order your nice takeout. You know what I'm saying? Your nice McDonald's. You get your McDonald's, your Wendy's, your pizza, your shawarma, your Subway, your Thai rice. You know what I'm saying? You get your chocolate, you get your candy, you get your drinks, you get your beer. You sit down on a porch like, holy shit, this book is sick. I'm enjoying this book much more than I am Lord of the Rings. Yeah, man. It's a better book than Lord of the Rings, man. I don't mean to be cocky, man. Trust me. Peter Jackson, when you watch this, you know what I'm saying? Mel Gibson, when you watch this, all you Lord of the Rings actors who are in Lord of the Rings, when you watch this, when you read my book, it's finally going to hit your mind, holy shit, I even wrote a better masterpiece than even J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Yeah, man. My book is better. VJ will be shocked. You'll be like, holy shit, Ivan, you wrote this? Ivan, are you lying? Ivan, you had help. No, VJ, I didn't have any help. I was on my own. VJ, holy shit, Ivan. This is a masterpiece. I love this story. This is such an amazing story, Ivan. This is a masterpiece. I'm like, yeah, it's a masterpiece. This is better than J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Yeah, man, that's how good my Zane's book is. Hence why I wrote a book worth billions, and hence why the Gatekeeper's True Nature will show. Because they know the kind of money I'm going to make off my book. I don't know, $15 billion, $16 billion, $14 billion, $12 billion off my book. They know me and VJ are going to make a lot of money off the book, obviously. And they know I can now afford to fund the movie myself with my own money, $98 million, even better quality than the Hollywood movies. That's why their true nature will show, because they know how good my book is. Anyways, that's it for this video. I went a bit over time, 18 minutes. I'm going to sign out now. I have to take my shower, go to the store, and get my beer and my smokes. This is Ivan O'Meara. I'm signing out. Peace.